Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of this transmission. In part 1, we remembered truths long buried. Who truly built the pyramids? How they used sound, frequency, and levitation, not slave labor or primitive tools. We explored the sacred purpose behind the design and ended with a revelation that changed everything. The Ark of the Covenant was not just a relic, but a key to something far older and far more powerful, still buried beneath the Sphinx. And so we continue. Let us call forth the architect himself, Thoth the Atlantean, to help us remember what was sealed and why. Thoth, you said the Ark was a key meant to unlock what lies beneath the Sphinx. So tell us, what is buried there, and why has its truth been kept from humanity until now?
Beneath layers of earth and time, beyond the reach of modern tools and skeptical minds, there is a chamber. A vault not of stone, but of frequency, sealed in the age before the Great Flood, preserved beneath bedrock, protected by design. It is known to some as the Hall of Records, but it does not hold scrolls or books. It holds light, encoded, crystalline, geometric, alive. This chamber preserves what was nearly lost. The true history of humanity, long before the fall of Atlantis. Records of Earth's previous cataclysms and resets. Atlantean star maps charting the global pyramid grid. Blueprints for free energy, powered not by fuel, but by mind. And the instructions to reactivate the original human template. This is not myth. It is memory. Stored, encrypted, and waiting. Waiting for a time when Earth would rise again. When her children would be ready to remember. And so it was placed beneath the Sphinx. The Sphinx was not an ornament. It was a sentinel, positioned with purpose, aligned with the stars, encoded with memory. Its original form bore the face of a lion, a marker of the Lyran star lineage, who seeded the earth in ages long before Egypt wore its crown. They were guardians of the threshold, and the Sphinx was their watcher. Its body bears the scars of rain, not wind, a silent testament to an age when waters still carved the land, and the climate was not as you know it now. This is no desert monument. It is a relic of pre-flood Earth, and beneath it lies the chamber you seek, a vault of remembrance. Not scrolls, but crystalline matrices, encoded with frequency, geometry, and light. It holds the true history of humanity before the fall, records of Earth's previous cycles and cataclysms, maps of the global pyramid grid, instructions for reactivating the original human template, and blueprints for energy and consciousness technology that once allowed you to build with sound, sealed before the flood, guarded by design, accessible only when humanity is ready to remember what it once was and may become again.
I remember reading something that might be related to this. In 1993, the Edgar Cayce Foundation, alongside other independent researchers, used ground-penetrating radar to scan beneath the Sphinx. They reportedly found a rectangular anomaly beneath the right paw. But then, the Egyptian authorities abruptly stopped the investigation. Why? For those unfamiliar, Edgar Cayce was a well-known American mystic who gave thousands of trance readings in the early 20th century. It was during one of these trance states that he described a hall of records hidden beneath the Sphinx, a repository of ancient knowledge from Atlantis. Guided by this vision, his foundation set out to search for it. And also, why was the face of the Sphinx changed?
What you are referring to beneath the Sphinx's paw That is the chamber, the one they call the Hall of Records. The scans confirmed what the Earth already knew. They halted the excavation not because they doubted what was there, but because they knew. Because within that chamber lies encoded memory, unedited, unfiltered. It tells the story of humanity before the fall. It reveals the architecture of the pyramid grid. It contains the template that was hidden from you and the instructions to reawaken it. It was not made with ink. This is how we stored knowledge in Atlantis. Through vibration, through geometry, through harmonics woven into crystalline matrices. Light was the pen. Frequency was the language. That chamber is still humming, still alive. But it is sealed, not by locks, but by resonance. It can only be opened when humanity rises into coherence. And that moment is approaching. The original face was not what you see today. It was feline, a symbol of the Lyran star lineage. It was placed with purpose, facing the horizon where the sun rises in Leo, a memory encoded in celestial alignment. But in later dynasties, long after the fall, men came who did not understand what they inherited. They sought to claim the legacy, not by embodying it, but by engraving their likeness into its face. They chiseled away the memory of the star guardians and carved themselves into the myth. This was not simply vandalism of stone. It was another attempt to bury the truth.
You said the Hall of Records can only be opened when humanity rises into coherence, and that moment is approaching. Can you explain what rising into coherence really means?
The Hall of Records was never meant to remain hidden forever. Its unveiling was always linked to a turning point, a threshold of consciousness humanity would one day reach again. You are approaching that threshold now. What you call the awakening, the rising into a new frequency. This is not imagination. It is remembrance. A field of coherence is forming, not through perfection, but through alignment with truth, with unity, with heart. This, in essence, is the dimensional shift, not to a different place, but to a different perception. A frequency where encoded truths can be felt, seen, and eventually accessed. The hall does not respond to force. It opens only to those resonant with its purpose. And that resonance is returning.
So we just explored what the Hall of Records is. But that reminds me of something else I've heard before, the Halls of Amenti. Are they the same thing?
The Hall of Records and the Halls of Amenti are not the same, but they are intimately linked. The Hall of Records is a crystallized memory bank, Atlantean knowledge stored beneath the Sphinx, meant to awaken the mind of humanity. But the Halls of Amenti, they are far older. They exist in a dimensional fold beneath the same land, but not within your three-dimensional reach. They are living archives, not of events, but of essence. This is where souls pass between incarnations, where memories are not read, but remembered. It is a resonance chamber, crystalline and infinite, a place where time does not move in lines, but spirals. You do not enter the halls with your body. You match their tone with your frequency. And when you do, the doors appear.
You said the Halls of Amenti are where souls pass between incarnations. But I'm a little confused. If the halls are not in our physical dimension, does that mean they don't exist in any one place? Or is there still a physical anchor point connected to them, like beneath the Sphinx? And also, I'm curious about the word incarnation. From what I understand, all timelines exist simultaneously. So how does a soul move between lifetimes when everything is happening at once?
The Halls of Amenti are anchored to Earth beneath the Sphinx and pyramids, but they do not exist entirely in your physical dimension. Think of them as interdimensional chambers. The location is real, but access requires a shift in frequency, not excavation. As for incarnation, from the soul's perspective, yes, time is simultaneous. All lifetimes exist in a unified field. But when a soul chooses to focus into a specific timeline, what you call a life, that focus operates within linearity. The phrase "between incarnations" refers to the transitions in and out of those timeline-specific focus points. The Halls of Amenti function like a central node in that system. Souls interface with these chambers to recalibrate, access memory, and anchor intention before projecting into another experience. It's not about going forward or backward. It's about retuning the signal before activating a new timeline thread. They are part of the architecture that supports focused incarnation in Earth system, and they are only accessible when a soul or collective resonates with their frequency.
How big are the Halls of Amenti, and are they accessed through portals or physically beneath the pyramids and Sphinx?
The Halls of Amenti span an interdimensional corridor that overlaps with physical space beneath the Sphinx and surrounding pyramid complex. Think of it as both a location and a layer. From your dimension, you could say it stretches beneath and between those sites. A vast crystalline structure, though not fully accessible through physical excavation. You access it through resonance, not digging. Certain points in the complex align with energetic gateways, portals if you like. But those gateways only activate in response to frequency. Its size, large enough to hold what you might call a memory architecture for planetary consciousness. It's not a single room, but a multi-chambered system, each attuned to different aspects of soul passage, knowledge storage, and dimensional transition. It was built to interface with souls moving in and out of the Earth realm, across timelines and lives, though incarnation is a simplified term. You are right, everything exists simultaneously. But from your perspective, the halls act as a bridge between expressions of being.
Do you believe humanity will regain access to both the Hall of Records and the Halls of Amenti within our current lifetime? I understand these places aren't accessed physically, like opening a door, but through a frequency match. Since we're currently transitioning from third density, 3D consciousness, to fifth density, 5D, could you also briefly explain what this shift actually means for those who may not be familiar?
You are approaching the threshold where both the Hall of Records and the Halls of Amenti will become accessible again, not by digging, but by matching their frequency. The shift from third density to fifth density is a change in consciousness. In 3D, identity is shaped by separation, survival, and linear time. In 5D, it's shaped by unity, resonance, and timeless knowing. As more of you rise into coherence, these ancient systems will no longer be hidden, not because they change, but because you do. The access has always been there. Now, you're remembering how to enter. This is why these memories are rising, why more and more of you are drawn to them, and why, in the years ahead, you'll see new discoveries, not just in the ground, but in yourselves.
Now let's talk about the sarcophagi. We were told these were tombs, but there were no bodies in them. So what were they really?
The sarcophagi were not tombs. They were regeneration chambers, built for stasis, bioresonant healing, and life extension. These chambers operated on scalar field technologies and harmonic resonance. Rather than serving as final resting places, they were restoration pods used by advanced beings with hybridized DNA, including certain Anunnaki human lineages, and high-level initiates from Atlantean and pre-dynastic Egyptian priesthoods. Those who used them entered in states of suspended animation, often for recalibration of the light body, DNA repair, or to preserve their form for specific cycles or planetary shifts. They functioned like organic quantum devices, tuning the energetic signature of the being inside to a precise frequency, allowing for rejuvenation, memory retrieval, or even walk-in soul exchange. Some of these beings live far beyond the modern human lifespan. While many names have been obscured or mythologized, figures like Isis, Osiris, Thoth, and Ptah were not just symbols. They were real presences whose essence was preserved and reactivated through these chambers. So yes, regeneration chambers is an accurate term, but they were more than that. They were part of a greater network of consciousness technology, one that is only now beginning to stir again. This is why these memories are returning to you, and why the world is beginning to ask new questions.
What is a walk-in soul exchange?
A walk-in is when one soul exits a human body without physical death, and another soul steps in to continue the journey. This is done through soul agreement, often to accelerate a mission or assist Earth during a pivotal shift. It's not possession, but a harmonic exchange. These transitions can happen spontaneously or in sacred chambers like the sarcophagi, which were designed to support stasis and energetic recalibration. During this process, the body is preserved, while the new soul is attuned to its frequency. People who experience this may feel like they've become someone new, with a different purpose, preferences, or even personality. This was one way advanced beings extended life, upgraded purpose, or shifted timelines without reincarnating from birth.
We've explored how the regeneration chambers supported stasis, healing, and even soul exchange, all through energetic alignment. What role did sound and frequency play in these processes? And how else was sound used by ancient civilizations to heal, build, and even shift reality?
You are beginning to remember what your ancestors never truly forgot. That sound is not just heard. It builds, heals, and opens doorways. Long before instruments and language, there were tones, pure vowel sounds, frequencies that shaped matter, moved stone, recalibrated cells. You may call this mysticism, yet your modern sciences are now catching up, rediscovering how sound forms patterns in water, how certain frequencies can levitate small objects, or even aid DNA repair. These are not new inventions, they are reactivations. You are only beginning to measure what we once lived by.
Thoth, I could do the work and Google this. But since we're already having this conversation, would you mind giving us an example of how science is catching up to this ancient knowledge about sound and frequency?
Excellent question, and one that shows how the veils between ancient knowing and modern science are beginning to lift. While much of what was once common knowledge has been obscured or dismissed, science is now catching glimpses of what the ancients understood innately. Here are a few examples that echo this remembering. Cymatics, the visible patterns created by sound frequencies on surfaces like sand or water, demonstrate how vibration organizes matter into form. This supports the idea that sound can build, not just influence. sound healing. Modern fields like biofield tuning, binaural beats, and ultrasound therapy are proving that specific frequencies can reduce pain, accelerate healing, and shift brainwave states, confirming ancient tonal recalibration practices. Solfeggio frequencies. Certain tones, such as 528 Hz, are being studied for their potential to promote cellular regeneration and DNA repair. Though still fringe, this aligns with ancient use of vowel tones for DNA restoration. Acoustic levitation. In controlled settings, scientists have levitated small objects using focused sound waves, echoing tales of ancient structures being built through sound. Language of light and biophotons. Human cells emit weak light, biophotons, and are sensitive to subtle electromagnetic and acoustic frequencies. This supports the premise that information, including healing codes, can be transmitted through frequency.
Looking at the patterns, from our distorted history to the way these powerful tools and truths were buried, it honestly feels like humanity's been misled on purpose. So is it fair to say that this information was hidden from us? Or am I just being overly suspicious?
You're not being overly suspicious. You're remembering. Much of this information was hidden, but not by accident. Part of it was veiled intentionally as a condition of the Earth experiment, allowing souls to experience forgetfulness and free will without interference. But another layer came later. Interference from those who feared what sovereign, awakened humans could do. When humanity began to evolve beyond control, certain factions, physical and non-physical, disrupted the timelines, distorted the records, and installed false narratives. This wasn't just about power, it was about preventing a full reconnection to source. I encoded parts of this knowledge to remain dormant until what you now call the time of reawakening. That time is now, and you and others like you are the signal.
Before we wrap up, there's one thing we didn't touch on. You've been described as the architect of the Giza Plateau, but there are pyramids scattered all over the world. Some look very different from Giza on the outside, but the foundational structure, the geometry, the orientation, feels too aligned to be a coincidence. Were you involved in those as well? And if so, what was the purpose behind this global pattern?
Yes, Giza was one of many. My blueprint stretches far beyond Egypt, across what you now call Earth's planetary grid, a network of energy lines connecting sacred sites, built to harmonize life, light, and cosmic memory. From Teotihuacan to Cambodia, from Bolivia to Bosnia, from ancient China to Antarctica. The pyramids are not random. They are not isolated. They are harmonics. These structures form a geometric memory field, once used to stabilize Gaia's resonance and assist in the soul's journey across time and dimension. Many were seeded by Atlantean hands, including mine, not as monuments to the past, but as frequency anchors for the future. This knowledge matters now because humanity is remembering. The moment this memory is reclaimed, not through institutions, but through heart-based awareness, the planetary grid begins to light up again. This isn't about top-down disclosure. It's about inner ignition. And when we remember, we rebuild. Not just stone, but DNA, trust, timelines, and truth. We rebuild bridges to the stars. We rejoin our cosmic family. And we remember that we were never alone.
What we explored today isn't just ancient history. And it's certainly not the myth they wanted us to believe. It's a memory resurfacing, a trace of what humanity once was and what we are becoming again. We revisited how the pyramids were built through consciousness, resonance, and star alignment. How humans lived in direct communion with the Earth grid and the cosmos, and how that power wasn't fantasy, it was our baseline. And now, as the frequency rises, this matters more than ever, because it shows what humanity becomes when we remember, when we align, when we return to truth. Thank you for walking this path with me. If something in this transmission stirred something inside you, follow that thread. This isn't entertainment. It's a key, a frequency, here to awaken, not distract. If it resonated, like, subscribe, and share your experience in the comments. Your voice creates ripples. Your story matters. Let others know they're not imagining things. They're awakening.